In the future, a lot of things that I talked about as mainstream today will, of course, mature, scale, become widespread, and everybody will be required to learn things about cloud, things about cybersecurity, things about data, architecting systems, building adaptable API-based frameworks, etc., etc. So that is a no-brainer. I mean, if you're going to be in tech, you better do all of that and learn how to do it better, faster, more effectively, etc. The AI story, I think, is a given. Right? Almost everybody, not just people in IT and tech or computer science, but everybody in every discipline. Uh, Whether you're going to be an industrial and you're a mechanical engineer, you're a chemical engineer, you're a aeronautical engineer, an oil and gas person, doesn't matter. You have to be able to be conversant with machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning, whatever, and be able to be competent, not just conversational with it, but competent about it. You should be able to write your own models. You should be able to run them, test them, perhaps even put them in production, or at least be an intelligent participant in discussions about this. In the so-called business world, people in marketing, people in HR, people in finance also need that capability to understand what AI is. If I can just zero in on one thing that you should be worried about, both as a techie as well as a non-techie using AI, we are used to computing being correct. If you put 1 plus 1 on a 500 rupee calculator, even a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old will say 1 plus 1 equal to 2, even if you do it 200 times. AI doesn't work like that. AI is inherently probabilistic. AI will say that, you know what, 1 plus 1, I've seen 200 experiments. Most of them seem to say 2, but there is a 1% probability that it could be 3, but it could also be 1. Right? AI is inherently probabilistic. That's what I said. When you look at AI as a skill, you have to be able to think probabilistically and not deterministically. Lastly, the things that I said about the future, ecosystem enablers, whether it's blockchain has not been it's been a hot on off kind of a skill for the last decade or so. Most of the people who did blockchain said crypto, and they are finally getting some success. But blockchain as an enabler for newer business models is going to happen in the coming years. So don't worry so much about blockchain technologies, but if you can figure out blockchain applications, the way it's going, I mentioned NFTs, I mentioned decentralized finance as 2 examples. There'll be many more like that, and that is what might be useful as an ecosystem enabling skill. Similarly with 5G, 5G is not just for the telecom people. 5G is about everybody. The application layer in 5G, which is about the way the world will communicate, machines will communicate, IoT will work, embed itself in everything. That is what I think is the future of that ecosystem technology. And finally, what about things like quantum? Uh, I'd say start brushing up on your high school physics because before you start programming a quantum machine, you need to understand what is quantum. Right? Otherwise, it'll look like complete gobbledygook to you. So start getting familiar with some of those concepts, and fundamentals of a techie will always be there. Make sure that you are disciplined, you're rigorous about the way you write your code, the way you collaborate, agile development, distributed teams, verification, testing, bug fixing, analytic skills. Those go without saying. If you don't have any of those, then you just wave hands, but you actually don't do tech stuff. You're a talker, not a doer. So tech people do, learn, adapt, scale.